There are moments in life when grief becomes your whole world. You don't think in paragraphs, you think in fragments, one thought at a time, one breath at a time. And in those moments, you don't need a lecture. You don't need a theological argument. You need a presence. Mary Magdalene comes to the tomb on the Sunday following Jesus' crucifixion, expecting death. And what she receives isn't an explanation. It's a voice and a single word, her name, Mary. I'm Brent, and this is episode 73 of the Bible Unplugged. This is part 4 of our series, Hidden Heroes of Holy Week, where we look at the people around Jesus whose quiet faithfulness carries more meaning than we usually notice. In this episode, we're focusing on Mary Magdalene in the Gospel of John, chapter 20, the most personal resurrection encounter in the Gospels. If you want to follow along, check the show notes at powerloveandmiracles.com. All 4 Gospels tell us about the resurrection, but John's account stands out because it moves slowly and emotionally. John doesn't just say, Jesus rose. He shows us what resurrection feels like for someone who's still in grief. And Mary Magdalene is the central character. Before we walk into John chapter 20, let's clear up a couple of common misconceptions about this Mary. Magdalene isn't a last name. It means she was from Magdala, a town on the western shore of the Sea of Galilee. The Gospel of Luke chapter 8 tells us Jesus delivered Mary from 7 demons, and then she became part of a group of women who followed Jesus and supported his ministry. And here's what the Bible does not say. It does not say Mary was a prostitute. That idea came much later in church tradition, not from the gospel writers. In Scripture, she's something else. She's devoted, she's present, she's faithful. This is exactly why John places her at the center of resurrection morning. The Gospel of John chapter 20 verse 1 says, Now on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene came early, while it was still dark, to the tomb. John includes that detail, still dark. Again, as in the story of Nicodemus, darkness isn't just time, it's mood, it's meaning. Mary is moving through darkness externally and internally. She comes to the tomb and sees the stone rolled away, and she immediately assumes the worst. She runs to Simon Peter and the other disciple and says, They have taken away the Lord out of the tomb, and we don't know where they have laid him. Notice what she doesn't say. She does not say he's risen. Even though Jesus predicted his resurrection, even though the disciples heard Jesus say just that, grief doesn't reach for hope. Grief reaches for explanations. So Peter and the other disciple run to the tomb. They see the linen cloths. John tells us the other disciple saw and believed. But what did he believe? Most scholars say the other disciple is John himself. Did he believe Mary's report that the tomb was empty, or did he believe Jesus had risen from the dead? John tells us directly that the other disciples still didn't fully understand the scripture that Jesus must rise from the dead. And then they leave. That detail always hits me. They came, they looked, they left. But Mary stays. John tells us in verse 11, But Mary was standing outside at the tomb weeping. This is a hidden hero's moment. Peter and John go home. Mary remains in the place of pain. She bends down and looks into the tomb and sees 2 angels. As a side note, under Jewish law, 2 witnesses are required for anything to be considered true. Then they ask, Woman, why are you weeping? She answers, Because they have taken away my Lord, and I don't know where they have laid him. Then John says she turns around and sees Jesus standing there, but she doesn't know it's him. And Jesus asks the same question, "Woman, why are you weeping?" And then another question, "Who are you looking for?" Mary thinks he is the gardener. And on one level, that's understandable. It's early, she's crying, and she's exhausted. But on another level, John is doing something significant. A gardener in a garden. At the dawn of the first day of the week, John is quietly echoing creation language. Genesis says God created a garden for humans to live. Sin enters the world in that garden. And John is suggesting new creation is beginning here too. Jesus overcame death in a garden to free us from the consequences of sin. Mary mistakes Jesus for the gardener because, theologically, she isn't wrong. John is quietly telling us, new creation has begun. Resurrection is not only about defeating death, it's about restoring what was lost. And Mary stands at the threshold of that moment without yet realizing it. She replies, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away." That is devotion speaking. Think about it. She's not saying, "I'll call someone." She says, "I will take him." Grief makes you say impossible things, but love makes you mean them. Then Jesus says one word, "Mary," and everything changes. She turns and says to him in Aramaic, "Rabboni," which means more than teacher. It's deeply personal. It means my great master. You can almost feel the shift in the air. This is the moment the resurrection becomes personal. Not theoretical, not doctrinal. Personal. And here's the key. Mary does not recognize Jesus by sight. She recognizes him by being known. That takes us back to the Gospel of John chapter 10, where Jesus says the shepherd calls his own sheep by name. Resurrection is not just Jesus defeating death. Resurrection is Jesus restoring relationship. Then Jesus says something that has often been misunderstood. "Don't hold me, for I haven't yet ascended to my Father." A lot of people interpret that as, "Don't touch me." But the language is stronger. It carries the idea of clinging, holding on tightly. Mary wants to hold on to Jesus, but also to hold Jesus in her mind the way he was before. And Jesus, gently but firmly, is telling her, "You can't relate to me the old way anymore," because his mission is shifting. Then he gives her a new mission. "Go to my brothers and tell them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, and my God and your God." That sentence is loaded. He calls the disciples brothers. He includes them in his relationship with the Father when he says, "My Father and your Father." And he commissions Mary to deliver that message. This is why Mary is sometimes called the apostle to the apostles. Not because she held office, but because she was the first sent with the news of the resurrection. Mary came to mourn. She leaves as a messenger. So what does Mary teach us? Jesus meets us inside grief, not after we escape it. Mary doesn't get over it before Jesus appears. Jesus meets her while she's still weeping. God knows you personally. The turning point wasn't evidence, it was intimacy. Mary. Jesus knows the name behind the pain. He cares for the person behind the pain. Clinging can keep us from our calling. This is tender but important. Sometimes we cling to the way things were before, the version of faith we used to have, the life we expected. the relationship we lost, the season of life that we miss. And Jesus, with mercy, says, I'm still here, but you have to follow me forward. Resurrection turns mourners into messengers. Mary becomes the first witness in John's account. The one who stayed becomes the one who was sent. There are 3 takeaways from this story to carry with you this week. Grief doesn't disqualify you. If you're hurting, you're not behind spiritually. You're in a challenging time, learning to live life in a different way. The hurt is what Jesus can use to grow stronger faith in you. Jesus is calling you by name. Your faith is not generic. Your pain is not anonymous. Jesus knows you, loves you, died and rose again for you. The place you weep may become the place you're commissioned. Don't underestimate what God can do in the middle of sorrow. You will find other people who are also grieving and become an ambassador of God's love in their pain. The newest element of the show is the Pray As You Go segment. We'll pause for a moment to pray a brief 2-phrase prayer to match your breath. Let's say this prayer together. When I feel uncertain, give me your peace. 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 Take this prayer with you throughout your week, especially when you may feel afraid or uncertain. Here's the challenge for the week. Spend 5 quiet minutes this week with this simple question. Jesus, what do you call me? Not your job title, not your role, not your failure, and certainly not your fear. Your name. You are special. You are loved. You are named by the God who loves you. And as you know, the music in the background means my time is up, but I'll be back with a lot more. In part 5 of our Hidden Heroes of Holy Week series, we'll look at someone who struggled to believe even after hearing the news. Thomas, and why doubt handled well can actually lead to deeper faith. If this episode helped you, share it with someone or leave a rating wherever you listen. My prayer for you is that even when you are grieving, feeling stuck in the dark, and cannot yet see hope, you would know that Jesus is with you, speaking your name. Allow grace to replace the tears and the ache of loss. Receive the love and power of God, and know that you have a special name, and God knows it. Have a blessed week. Just to let you know, all opinions are my own. If you agree, keep listening. If you don't, keep listening. I might surprise you with something you didn't know. All Bible quotations come from the World English Bible, which is a public domain work. Our show theme song is Awesome Call by Kevin MacLeod and used under Creative Commons license. The content of this podcast is copyrighted 2026 by J. Brent Eaton, and this has been a Power, Love, and Miracles production.